We have mapped the surface of Mars. We have photographed the edge of our solar system. But there is a place right here on our own planet that remains so unexplored, so mysterious, that scientists believe up to 90% of the life living there has never been seen by human eyes. It's not on another world, it's beneath the waves. And in just the last couple of years, explorers have pulled back the curtain and found creatures so strange they sound made up. This is a journey into the deep sea's newest discoveries, and some of them will change the way you think about life itself. Let's set the scene first, because the scale of this is hard to wrap your head around. The deep ocean is the largest living space on Earth. It's cold, pitch black, and crushed under pressure that would flatten almost anything from the surface. For most of human history, it was simply out of reach. We had better maps of the moon than of our own seafloor, but that's finally starting to change. A massive international effort has been racing to document ocean life before it disappears. And over a single year of expeditions across the globe, scientists confirmed something staggering. More than 1,000 new marine species, not new individuals, new species. Animals completely unknown to science until that moment. And the ones they found are extraordinary. Let's start with a creature that sounds like it belongs in a nightmare. Off the coast of Australia, in a marine park deep beneath the surface, researchers discovered a new kind of ghost shark. And yes, that's its real nickname. Ghost sharks aren't quite sharks. They're distant relatives, part of a lineage that split off from sharks and raised hundreds of millions of years ago, before the dinosaurs even existed. This particular one was found nearly a kilometer down, with a long snout packed with sensory organs designed to hunt in total darkness. It glides through the black water, feeling for prey it will never actually see. A living fossil hiding in the deep, only just now revealed. But here's where it gets stranger. In the freezing waters of the Southern Ocean, near some of the most remote islands on the planet, scientists brought up something they nicknamed the deathball sponge. Now, when you think of a sponge, you probably imagine something soft and harmless, quietly filtering water. This one flips that idea on its head. It's a carnivore. Instead of gently sipping nutrients from the water, this spherical sponge is covered in tiny hooks that snag and trap prey that drifts too close. A predator disguised as one of the most passive animals in the sea. And it was found thousands of meters down, in a place humans had barely ever looked. So how are they finding all of this? Take a breath, because the technology is half the story. The finding, published in July of 2026, is that the Chicxulub impactor was very likely something called a sea ochondrite. And that classification matters enormously because sea ochondrites are exceptionally rare. Let me explain why that's such a big deal. The overwhelming majority of meteorites that fall to Earth come from the inner asteroid belt, relatively close by, in cosmic terms. They're the local traffic, but the chemistry pointed somewhere else. This object appears to have originated in a distant region of the solar system, far out beyond the main belt where most of our impacts come from. So this wasn't a rock that had been quietly circling near us for billions of years. It was something that came in from far away, but here's where it gets more interesting still. The researchers suggest the unusual chemistry of this particular type may have made the aftermath worse. The specific composition of the material blasted into the atmosphere affects how much of it lingers, how effectively it blocks sunlight, and how long the cooling lasts. Think about what that implies. The extinction wasn't just a function of size and speed. The type of rock mattered. A different asteroid of identical size, from a closer origin with different chemistry, might have produced a shorter darkness. A worse day for the dinosaurs, but maybe not the end of them. Which raises an uncomfortable thought. Was this partly a matter of terrible luck? Not just being hit, but being hit by precisely the wrong kind of thing? Now, let's talk about why any of this matters today, beyond curiosity. Planetary defense is a real field with real funding. Multiple agencies scan the sky for objects that cross Earth's orbit, catalog them, and calculate their paths decades into the future. We've already tested our ability to nudge one when a spacecraft deliberately struck a small asteroid and successfully changed its orbit. But all of that work depends on one assumption, that we can see them coming. And here's the problem this research highlights. We are much better at tracking objects in the inner solar system, the ones that pass by regularly and have been observed many times. Something arriving from the distant outer regions on a long and unusual orbit is a far harder target. It may only approach once, it may be dark and hard to spot, and the warning time could be dramatically shorter. So the identification isn't just historical trivia. It's a data point about what kind of threat actually ended an era. And it wasn't the kind we watch most closely. Let me put the scale of that event into perspective one more time, because it's easy to lose. Before that day, dinosaurs had ruled this planet for well over 150 million years. Not thousands, not millions, over 150 million years of complete dominance. Modern humans have existed for roughly 300,000. We are a rounding error by comparison. Consider the deep-sea snails found near islands in the Pacific. They don't look like much, but these tiny predators hunt using venomous, harpoon-like teeth that inject toxins into their prey with incredible precision. Here's why that's a big deal. Venom from related sea snails has already helped scientists develop powerful medicines, including treatments for chronic pain. So every new venomous species we find down there isn't just a curiosity. It's a potential key to medicine we haven't invented yet. The deep sea might be hiding cures we desperately need. Then there are the discoveries that are simply beautiful in how bizarre they are. Off the coast of Japan, researchers found a worm that builds its home inside what they poetically described as a glass castle. That castle is actually the delicate, crystal-like skeleton of a glass sponge, a creature whose body is built from silica, essentially living glass. This tiny worm makes its entire life inside those crystalline chambers, tucked away in a structure that looks like it was spun from spun sugar and starlight. It's the kind of thing you'd expect from a fantasy story, not the real ocean floor. But let me ask you something. If we're still finding this much life, this easily, what does that tell us about how little we actually know? That's the part that stops scientists in their tracks. These aren't rare, once-in-a-lifetime finds. Expedition after expedition keeps coming back with new species almost every single time they dive. In one deep zone of the Pacific alone, researchers found 24 new species of small crustaceans, including an entirely new branch on the tree of life. If this took you somewhere you've never been, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're only scratching the surface of what's out there in the deep. And I want to know, down in the comments, which of these creatures blew your mind the most?